Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, and apparently Mauricio Pochettino wants the Manchester United job. Brendan Rodgers' release clause is there to be paid, and Ten Hag potentially is not ruling himself out of the job, while Zinedine Zidane is. This is the latest on the Manchester United managerial merry-go-round, which we'll be talking about. Also, we'll be talking about interims. You've got Carrick's press conference at lunchtime. We'll be reacting to that. I never thought I'd be saying Michael Carrick, Manchester United press conference, but we will have that reaction for you at lunchtime. I also want to talk about United's approach to this. I think, looking at a lot of the stuff last night after the show, during the day, a lot of United fans locked into sentimentality and they think it's pure. I personally think it's very staged, not on the part of Solskjaer, but I think the club are staging it, and I'll go through why, and why I still think yesterday was about staging a situation to protect the Glazers and Ed Woodward, whilst using Ollie to do that, who was obviously willing to do it. We'll talk about that in a minute, because people are getting very upset about that, but I actually think when I break it down, you'll understand why some people disagreed with what happened yesterday and think we're being played as per usual. Because standards are on the floor. We've spoken about standards before. That's what people should be waking up to this morning. 4 points from 21. We're in a right mess. We've been linked to Steve Bruce as an interim. The club's a joke and they're trying to spin a positive. And I'll tell you what, if you tolerate this, they'll start doing other stuff. What's next? We're going to get Harry Maguire to do an interview where he gets emotional as well and everyone suddenly feels sorry for him. Judge people on what they're doing as Manchester United players, managers and coaches. Let's just pretend they're all nice guys. I don't know whether they are, but let's just pretend they're all nice guys. And it's very sad when they're getting criticised, because it is. But what are we doing as a football club? Standards are on the floor and we're all locked into sentimentality. I don't see Liverpool or Manchester City or Chelsea doing sentimental things. I see them challenging for titles, and I think that's where United need to be. It's Groundhog Day. I'm now hoping we lose our next few fixtures so the Glazers don't try to push Carrick as the permanent honour, says Tom. No, I never wanted us to lose under Solskjaer, Tom, just quickly before we talk about Pochettino. I never wanted us to lose under Solskjaer. I certainly don't want us to lose under Carrick. Carrick's never getting that full-time job. It will never, what's Rio going to do? Start getting his, I don't care, get the money out, get the contracts. No one's going to fall for that. They're not going to start singing Carrick's at the wheel. Ollie had a really good, amazing run as an interim. When he first came in, we played Cardiff. He had an amazing run which culminated with knocking PSG out. 3 months of amazing fixtures. And we still know that was a mistake in hindsight. What is Carrick going to do? I wouldn't worry about Carrick. He will not get that job. What I would agree with is let's get him out of the job as soon as possible. Let's probably get them out of the club, because they're a massive part of the problem. And I think Solskjaer has been thrown to the wolves individually when those coaches are the ones that have led to our bad football. But let's talk about the headlines first. Pochettino. What do you think about Pochettino? So this came last night. It was from the Daily Mail. With the Mail, for me, I'm like, But what I will say is that, look, this is a news show in the morning, foremost. That's what it's always been. It's a news show. So we're not, we always have an opinion where the news will come from. What I would say over the last year is that your traditional credible outlets have retained credibility, but we have started to pick up people that we maybe thought, well, they weren't that credible, but actually, you never know. I mean, look at Duncan Castles on Saturday night. I think he was the first about the sacking, and he can be very wrong, but he can also obviously be right. And I think in relation to the Daily Mail, one of the journalists attached to it, and I forget the names of both of them, has been quite correct about a few things, like Conte to Spurs, Zuma Chelsea. So there's a few things he's been right about. What the basic story is with Pochettino is that he wants the Manchester United job, and he wants the Manchester United job now. He is not happy in Paris. He's managing a lot of egos. I mean, it must be difficult to manage an unhappy Mbappe, Neymar and Messi. It must be very difficult. I mean, it must be horrible getting up in the morning managing that sort of talent. But apparently he's not settled in Paris, and Manchester United has always been his dream job. So Pochettino would like the Manchester United job. It's been described by a journalist this morning, I think it was Mark Ogden, as if Manchester United want Pochettino, they're pushing at an open door, which means it's very easy. It's the thing is, do Manchester United want to do it? And how difficult would it be for PSG? What I would say about Pochettino before we get into whether he's good or not is that I don't think this is going to happen quickly, in the sense that I don't think he's going to get appointed today, tomorrow or Wednesday. They've got a game against Man City on Wednesday night. But for the same reason, Brendan Rodgers has got a game on Thursday for Leicester, so I don't see that this new manager's coming in anytime this week, which is obviously not palatable. I think that I woke up this morning and I read something about how Manchester United have kept Carrick, McKenna, and Phelan because the new manager might want to keep them all, and that the people looking for the new manager are Murtaugh, Woodward and Judge. And I'm like, oh, God, it's like a double smack in the face, isn't it? It's like, oh. But you know what? We spoke about it on the last night's show, and what a great show it was. We desperately need to move fast, not because not mainly because we need the points, but mainly because the fan base is not satisfied with Solskjaer's sacking. It's not filled the hole. People are not like, Ollie's gone, we're moving forward. We're like, well, Ollie's gone, you've kept most of the coaching staff, you've got no idea who's coming in. Actually, this could make us more unstable. We could get worse without Ollie, which sounds impossible. But what I'm saying is, when Ollie was in charge, at least, well, that's their plan. It's not a very good plan, but that's a plan. You take Ollie out of that, and it's like the players could go in this morning and go, right, we haven't got the manager, but we've got the same coaches. We don't know who the new coach is going to be. It's got the potential to get a lot worse. And Europa League, outside of the top four, is a very realistic prospect. If we need a new manager in quick, because we need the new manager bounce. The players need it. So they've got to move fast, and I just don't think they are moving fast. I think we're in real issues. Thoughts on Vlahovic, and would you take him? Says Sam. Poch would be great, but Glazers are not after him. If he wants to go now and United wanted interim, they aren't after him, says Pratosaurus Rex. In my uni lecture, watching this, setting my priorities straight, says Toa. Thank you very much for your super chats. So look, make sure you smash a like on the video. Let me talk to you, Pochettino. I mean, look, Pochettino, Red Devil says Pochettino's got actual tactics. Look, Pochettino, Brendan Rodgers, Ten Hag, Zidane, they're miles better than everything we've got, and so's their coaching team. So for me, that's the starting point. If it's one of those four, it's a huge improvement. Beggars can't be choosers. We as fans can be, we can be choosers because we're in a position of, well, I don't want this, I don't want that. Manchester United have put themselves in a position where they're not prepared for this, and they've got to act quickly. Now, Pochettino has clearly put it out there that he wants the United job. That story last night actually said United haven't approached Pochettino, but Pochettino wants the job. Well, that's coming from Pochettino's side. This is Conte of 3 weeks ago. This is Conte wanting the United job, and United going, nah, you're all right, we got Ollie. And 3 weeks later, they're like, you got Conte giving it large on the touchline yesterday for Spurs, and I'm like, oh my God, give me some of that passion. I know it's shallow passion, but just give me some of that passion. But Conte is gone. Pochettino is there. He very clearly wants this job. Now, yeah, it's going to be difficult because PSG might not want to take him, but Zidane, through the BBC, doesn't want this job. Now, for me, Zidane has always been my number one. Now, if we get Zidane, I'm very, very happy, but he doesn't want the job. It's very obvious. And at what point, even though I want Zidane, at what point, and I'm talking to myself as well, at what point do you go, he doesn't want the job? I'm very big on what Manchester United is, and you've got to want the job to understand the job. And if we're begging Zidane to come and do something he doesn't want to do, that is built on sand straight away. Because if his heart's not in it and he doesn't want to be in England and he doesn't want to be in Manchester, how long is he going to be here for? And how much is he going to be engaged in it? I think we have got to turn our back on Zidane. As much as he was my number one, I think we've got to turn our back, because how many times do you want to beg somebody who doesn't want to come? It's like getting somebody to marry you for money. It's like, it's not a relationship that's going to last or have any meaningful future. So I think that with Zidane, you've got to turn your back on it. Now, Pochettino wants the job. Do I want Pochettino? Do you want Pochettino? If Steve Bruce becomes interim, I'll never watch United again, says Luke. Mate, I wouldn't put it past them, but I would. They can't. They wouldn't get away with that. They should get Paul Ince. If they want to get an ex-player, get bloody Paul Ince. Not Steve Bruce. But if we got a manager, we won't be getting their own backroom staff or coaches. United board want to pay new people to come the club wake up, says Jack Birtles. Now, the chat is somewhat divided on Pochettino. I would say two things about Pochettino. If he was offered up this morning, would I take him? Yes, because he's got a coaching team, and it will mean goodbye to all our useless coaches. And he is a good coach, and we would improve. My issue with Pochettino is, does he inspire me with excitement? No. And has he ever won anything? No. And do I think he's better than Pep or Klopp? No. So That's my concern. But of course I would take him. I think as fans, we're just in a world now where everyone's got their favourite. And I think the disagreement is, a lot of people want Ten Hag. Some people want Poch. Some people want Zidane. Some people want other people. For me, I'm actually quite relaxed about it. I just want a permanent manager in now because I know we can get a manager in now. And if that means getting Pochettino at the end of this week or the start of next week, he's not going to be in for the Chelsea game. We need a new manager for the Arsenal game. I'll tell you now, we need Arsenal game a new manager. Arsenal will beat Newcastle at the weekend. We will lose to Chelsea. We will be 6 points behind Arsenal when we play them. If they beat us, we will be 9 points and they will be 4th or 5th. We can't be at 9 points off 5th after Arsenal. We need the new manager in ASAP. Probably not going to get them for Chelsea, but they've got to be coming in on that Tuesday for the Arsenal game because we need that home bounce. I think the new manager's first game has to be at Old Trafford and it has to be Arsenal. Chelsea, it's a dead rubber game. That's dead. If Carrick can get something out of it, great. I think take the week to get the manager, get them in, appointed for the weekends. I've seen loads of clubs do this. We've got the manager, but he won't take charge until Monday. The manager's in the stands at Stamford Bridge. The players maybe react to that, but their real reaction comes against Arsenal on the Thursday. That's when you need this new manager in. So the club have got a week, and they've got to use it. And if they've got to get Poch after the Man City game, go get him. If you want to get Rodgers, go get him. If you're going to get Ten Hag, go get him. But by next weekend, get a manager in. And I don't want to listen to any of this bullshit anymore that we need an interim and then we've got to wait till the summer. You know why they're waiting till the summer? Money. If this is Chelsea, you get the manager. Stop falling into the trap that you can't get a manager during the season. Pochettino wants to leave PSG to come to Manchester United, right? Brendan Rodgers will leave Leicester to come to Manchester United. Ten Hag would probably leave Ajax if we pushed hard enough. And they could all be in by the weekend. Why are we looking for an interim? No future in an interim. Get them in now. Get the manager in now. Get them talking to Van der Beek, Pogba, Ronaldo. Get them feeling comfortable or do they want to leave? Start the rebuild today. Don't put it off until tomorrow. And as I said last night, if we wait for a new manager in the summer, it's the shortest summer ever. The season starts at the start of August because of the World Cup. The manager won't get to see the new players until they've had an holiday in early July. That means he's got a month to look at the squad, decide who he doesn't want, decide who he wants to buy, and then hit the ground running. Never going to happen. Get a new manager in now. That's what Manchester United need to do. And if it's Pochettino, I'm happy. If it's Brendan Rodgers, I'm happy. If it's Ten Hag, I'm happy. I'm not even going to start dictating as a fan what I want. Just, you've got 4 targets. Zidane, Ten Hag, Pochettino, Brendan Rodgers. Get one of them in by the weekend and start building the football club. Because I tell you what, none of them guarantees titles, but what they do guarantee is a better coaching setup with a better coaching team, with better development and a better plan. And that is better than where we are at the moment. And look, maybe this manager will not work. There are no guarantees, but we'll be in a better position and we need to be in that better position now. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, who will only be here for 2 years. You've got Cavani, who's gone in the summer. Pogba's gone in the summer. Van der Beek, Martial, Lingard, Henderson, Bailly, Dalot, Telles, they're probably all going to go in the summer. Get a manager in now and let's start to try and grasp some of that opportunity so that they don't all just fuck off. What do you think of Ronaldo's impact on this team so far? I know people will say he's Champions League goals, but he isn't affecting the team game. Susmit, I don't think you... I think you're underestimating the negative impact our coaching has on Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, I know he had a few opportunities against Watford when Donny came on, but basically he's playing in the same graveyard shift that Martial played in for 2 years, that Cavani played in last year. You're living on scraps. You put Ronaldo in that Man City side yesterday to score a hat-trick, and he'd score a hat-trick every week. Clearly Ten Hag doesn't want to join mid-season. Do you think there's anything with the Poch story? Clearly wanted the job last season and always has, says Arjun. This Ronaldo super chat is naive beyond imagination, says Sumajit. I think with regards to the managerial situation at the moment, with regards to the managerial, get the words out. With regards to the managerial situation at the moment, Simon Stone has just said that Mauricio Pochettino is open to becoming Manchester United manager, and it's not out of question they could get him now. That's from Simon Stone, BBC journalist. That is absolutely the perfect time to get the update I was about to say. Maurizio Pochettino clearly wants the Manchester United job. Let me say this back again. Fabrizio Romano, not Fabrizio Romano, he'd love the Man United job. Maurizio Pochettino wants the Manchester United job. Now, I said that 10 minutes before Simon Stone has even spoken about it. Because if you know, you know. And I've not had any inside information, but if you read that article last night and you see what's coming out, this is clearly... If you know the game, you know the game. This is coming from Pochettino's people. The article last night even says Man United have not contacted Pochettino yet. This is Conte all over again. That's what's happening. It's Conte 3 weeks ago. Conte wanted the United job, and it was leaked out through the Italian press. Romano spoke about it, and it was basically saying to United, come and get me. And United went, you know what? No, thank you. Pochettino is now doing the same. He knows if he waits till the summer, that job will be gone. It happened to him once before. If he waits, if United get an interim and then in the summer we're going to get someone, he's been down that road before. And he knows at PSG, he's never, PSG's a funny club. Laurent Blanc did a good job there. They sacked him. Tuchel didn't do a great job. They sacked him. But Tuchel's still a good coach. PSG is a very difficult job. To me, PSG's like Newcastle. Eddie Howe's on borrowed time, isn't he? You're never going to make people who are billionaires happy. So Pochettino clearly wants the job. Now, if he wants the job, United should go and get him. Of course they should. Because he's miles better than what we've got. And he's a proper coach with proper tactics. So we should go and get Pochettino. Is he my number one choice? No, but to be honest with you, my number one choice is Zidane, who doesn't want the job. So if you're, Zidane who doesn't want the job, Pochettino who does want the job. I want Zidane. But in those circumstances, I'd probably take Poch. Because the person who's obsessed by wanting the job is going to be far more appealing than somebody who's like, I don't really want the job. So Pochettino would be very interesting. Surely if you're an owner of Manchester United, you do whatever it takes to protect your assets. Success on the pitch will trickle down to everything else, as Neem. If that's the case with Poch, I think we need to go all out for him. The man has been linked with Manchester United since Ollie was interim. Let's go, says Arjun. Woodward to extend his stay, reported by Sky Sports. But that is a good point about Pochettino as well. I do feel like he's yesterday's news. I think 3 years ago I did a video on Pochettino and it was relevant then. Is Pochettino Manchester United now typical Man United living in the past? Van Gaal appointment was in the past. Mourinho was in the past. There is a risk with Pochettino that we're jumping on this horse a little bit late. Just because he was right for us 3 years ago doesn't mean he's right for us now. But, he's not a bad guy. Look, at Spurs, it was time to go. He got them to a Champions League final, and then they didn't get Bruno. Things just, Pochettino looked tired with Spurs, and Spurs looked tired with Pochettino. They sacked him, and then things got worse. So, it got worse under Mourinho. So it's not like Spurs sacked Pochettino and got better. They got worse. At PSG, I think it's always very difficult to judge a manager at PSG. It's very difficult. But the fact that, it's funny, because I said, Man United can take any manager from anywhere. You're not going to get Pep, and you're not going to get Klopp, and we're not going to want those types of managers. But we can, we could get Pochettino from PSG. Yes, PSG have got more money than us, but if I think the Premier League is a massive pull to any manager, and Manchester United is a massive opportunity. And I think signing someone like Cristiano Ronaldo makes us even more of a pull. You always said get a coach who wants the job, says Connaty. Exactly, and that's why for me, if somebody doesn't want the job now, I wouldn't wait. If Ten Hag wants the job in the summer, bye-bye. If Rodgers wanted the job in the summer, bye-bye. If Pochettino wants the job now, take him. And Carlo Ancelotti failed at PSG. Himanshu's spot on. Tuchel failed at PSG. He's the best coach in the world at the moment, arguably. So the PSG... And he's not... You know what? Pochettino's not failing at PSG. They are like 10 points clear at the top of the French league, which is not hard, although he didn't win it last year. And also, they're doing well in the Champions League. So, they did beat Man City and they deserve to beat them. So, look, I'm not 100% on Pochettino, I've got to be honest. But I don't think there's a manager out there that I'm going to be 100% on. And, people talk about, negativity and toxicity in the fan base. But they obviously don't watch this channel because when we discuss things, I'm not saying the next manager is going to win the league. I think it's very important that any fan just realises that this is not the plan. This wasn't the plan. Up until Liverpool, I was like hoping Ollie could turn this around and make us relevant. And it didn't happen. And, the warning signs were there. But we've spent 3 years on Mourinho and we ended up on the floor. We've spent 3 years on Ollie. We've ended up on the floor. We've wasted 6 years. The next manager, in fairness to the next manager, they've got to have 3 years. And I hate saying that, but they have to. But I don't think it will take 3 years because I think there's a lot of squad. I don't think Mourinho's squad was terrible, and we've spent 400 million quid in addition to that. So it's a good squad to inherit, which Mourinho and Pochettino would sort that midfield out, whether it's with the players we've got or bringing people in. Ed Woodward could stay as chief executive vice chairman, says Pack. Yeah, ridiculous. Mark, to be honest with you, you can't, there's loads of people in the fan base that know what the problem is at Manchester United, and it is Ed Woodward, but he just keeps surviving, and we cannot remove the real problem from this football club for some reason. We just cannot remove the owners and Ed Woodward. They still remain, and it's very sad. Mark, I've never really noticed Pochettino's style. Can you give us a breakdown about what you expect? I'd hate him to come and bench Donny like Ollie did, says AJ Singh. I can't pick Pochettino's team just because you want me to. I don't know. He might come in and think McTominay's amazing. He might think Fred's amazing. He definitely was an admirer of Bruno because he wanted him at Spurs. He's going to like Ronaldo. Effectively, Pochettino at Spurs, when I think back, I always worried about whether Pochettino really played with wingers. I'd have to go back and have a look how Pochettino plays. I've seen him at PSG. He does play with a back four. He sometimes plays with wing backs. Southampton, he played different. He's played, to be fair, Pochettino, when I think about it, he's played quite a lot of different systems. I don't think, with Conte, he's going to play a back five. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen with Pochettino. But you're right to identify his style, because I remember talking about it 3 years ago. Is Pochettino an obvious Manchester United style of play? But then again, you talk about a reset. If Pochettino comes in with his own coaches, I actually think he does. You can class him as a reset. Ten Hag's response to United translates to "Come and get me now." What do you think? If he didn't want it, he'd respond like Luis Enrique, says Summerjit. Look, as I said, Summerjit, I don't know how this week is going to go, but I definitely do think that you've got to end the week with either Pochettino, Ten Hag, and Brendan Rodgers. Those three look like the three that want the job. Zidane's probably out of it now. I never thought Zidane would get Zidane. Harris says it's November. There should be serious riots if we don't get a permanent manager this season and waste one of last Ronaldo's seasons ever, says Harris. I think you make a good point there. Maybe not about the riots, but you certainly make a good point about Ronaldo. I don't think Ronaldo's going to be happy with an interim because it is just wasting a season for him. Nobody would know if Poch will have the chemistry with Man United players like Tuchel would with Chelsea. We should give him a chance, says Zenas. And also, how do you get rid of Ed and the Glazers when groups like Manchester United Supporters Trust join hands with them and make a deal? Who represents us in the board, Mark, says Subbo. Well, who represents us anyway? This fan advisory board will be made up of the same people who sit on the fan forum, which won't reflect the wider worldwide fan base. It'll reflect match game fans, which is absolutely fine, but that's not the worldwide fan base, is it? It's not a fair reflection. So you're right, you make a good point, but we're second-class citizens, I'm afraid. If you don't go to games, you don't matter. Mark, rumours say Ten Hag wants the United job at the end of the season. What do you think? I think it's too long, Alex. And Mark, I think Poch will be a failure at United. We may play better, but we will not win a trophy. We must go for Ten Hag. He will turn it around. Shaji, and I think you reflect exactly what I know is going on in the fan base. I think some of our fan base is now obsessed with Ten Hag. And their obsession is Ten Hag, and they don't want anything else. I'm not there with you, I'm afraid. I'm not. I would still take Brendan Rodgers now. I would still take Ten Hag now, and I would still take Pochettino now. For me, I'm not obsessed on any manager. There are three good candidates there who all bring what I want: coaching team, structure. And also, fourth and the most important, none of them guarantee success. So for me, I wouldn't be unhappy with any of the three. My number one target was always Zidane. He didn't want the job. So out of those three, I don't really care which one we get, as long as we get one of them. What I don't want is an interim and then we wait until the summer, because we're just killing the season in November. So I'm quite relaxed about which one we get. There was a story from Neil Custis. Again, it's from The Sun, but he's had decent connects in the past, saying that Brendan Rodgers' release fee from Leicester is £8 million. I wouldn't wake up this morning and be worried about Pochettino if you don't want Pochettino. I think that story is Pochettino saying he wants the job. I don't think that is Manchester United going for him. I actually don't think Manchester United at the moment know what they want. So I think any story, whether it's Ten Hag, Brendan Rodgers, Pochettino, I don't think there's anything in it at the moment. And I think everyone's desperate to go, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I saw people last night about the Pochettino story, and the Pochettino hype started, and people were getting pissed off because they want Ten Hag. I wouldn't be worried at the moment about who United are going to get, because I don't think they know themselves. There's a lot of work going on and they need to work quickly. But the main thing for me is that they bring a manager in, not an interim. And they don't stick with Carrick and whoever it is for very long. The new manager, as I repeat again, the new manager needs to be in by after the Chelsea game. Because if we've got an interim, if we've still got Carrick for Arsenal and we lose, we're going to be 9 points off 5th place, which makes it very difficult to get into the top 4 full stop. So the new manager's got to be in. And I you know, as bad as the club is, I think we'll have a new manager by the weekend, and I think it will be a manager. I don't think it will be an interim, because an interim doesn't make any sense. And the reason an interim doesn't make any sense is if you bring Rangnick in, or you bring Laurent Blanc in, or bloody Steve Bruce or whoever, they come in, oh yeah, it's a feel good factor till May, and then bye. Well, that 7 months was just ridiculous. Like what? So we brought a manager in for 7 months to their structure, their style of play, their selections mean nothing because it's another reset in the summer. Like, you've got to start the reset now. And you know, Pochettino, in a way, I'm quite grateful for, because he is a good manager and he's saying he wants the job now. That throws the pressure onto United board. Why are you looking for an interim and then a manager in the summer? You can get a manager now. Get a manager now. Ten Hag is very good, but calling Poch a bottle job and saying Ten Hag isn't is wrong. 3-0 lead in the Champions League semi-final against Poch. Bottled it, says Arjun. Yeah, I mean, you can't say that Ten Hag is a serial winner and Pochettino isn't. Ten Hag's done it all in the Dutch league. You know, Pochettino did it in a Spurs side that never should have won trophies, really. Luis Enrique, if bought, can bring serious results out of his squad. Even Zidane can do the same. I think you mentioned 2 good names who don't want the job there, though, Fizik. Mark, I guarantee Roger's first question would be, how does Liverpool compare to United? Do we need a new manager's first question to be that? Says Stephen Atkinson. And hi, Mark, supposedly from Manchester Evening News, Rangnick would be interested in the interim role. Thoughts, says Seb. Rangnick is probably the best interim we can go for, but he can't be an interim. He'd have to be an interim who then becomes director of football, which the club won't do because they love the structure. They love Murtaugh, they love Fletcher, they love Carrick, they love Phelan. There's no way Rangnick's going to come in and then just walk away in May. He would have to be given something within that club. The club won't create that. I think Rangnick would be the perfect interim if he was allowed to then go upstairs, but that path isn't there, which is why the interim at United is such a stupid thing to do, because it genuinely will be an interim. It will be bye-bye in May, or it will be there's the contract in March. Well, we've been down that road before. If Poch wants to leave PSG because he can't handle the big egos and spotlight that comes with making the biggest club in France, do you think that is a red flag for the United job? Andrew, I think that's a good point, but I don't agree with it. I think that PSG has destroyed many a manager, and I think, you know, Ancelotti's a great coach. Tuchel is a great coach. They struggled at PSG. So you make a good point, but the counter argument would be, well, Tuchel struggled at PSG. He went to Chelsea. He's won the league. He's won the Champions League, and now they're comfortably top of the Premier League. So that would be the answer to that one, I suppose. So yes, this is where we're at the moment. The story is that Pochettino wants the job, but Simon Stone, literally since we've been on air, has come through and said that. And Bill Rice, also another decent BBC journalist, Pochettino open to leaving PSG if Manchester United make an approach. This is coming from Pochettino. As I said, I would take one thing away from this Pochettino story. This is Conte of 3 weeks ago. After the Liverpool game, Conte made it known he wanted the United job and United snubbed him. Pochettino has today made it known he wants the United job. What will United do? United always liked Pochettino. Sir Alex was a big fan of his. He's saying he wants the job and he wants it now. I think that, you know, they've got to go for the job. Now, would Pochettino... do you think Pochettino would bring his own coaching staff in? 100%. You know, he's got his own coaching people. So I just think... I just think in relation to the managerial situation, you can't bring in Zidane, Ten Hag, Pochettino, Brendan Rodgers and then say, we're appointing you as coach, but keep Carrick and McKenna. That would probably be the sort of thing United would say to the manager. But the new manager would have to say, I'm not taking the job if you're giving me Carrick and McKenna. And then Woodward would probably go, why? And he'd go, because you don't understand football, do you? Like, I'm one man. Like, I have to train 30 players 4 times a week and pick a team and get in a coach with them. I can't do that on my own. I need my team that I work with and know and trust. I don't know and trust Carrick and McKenna. In fact, from what I've seen, I don't want anything to do with them. But, you know, getting me on my own is not going to make me successful. You get me as the manager and my coaching team comes with me. And that would be the same with Pochettino, Rodgers and Ten Hag. And if we employed any of them and keep Carrick and McKenna and their coaching team doesn't come with them, that would be a big red flag that things are going to fail. So, yeah, definitely would be a problem. Sky Sports are reporting that Ed Woodward is staying longer. We are finished. Woodward staying longer is a bloody joke. I will let me just put the tweet out. It's worth putting out. There we go, I've just tweeted it at Mark Goldbridge. Ten Hag or at Ajax as football people above him, the structure is perfect for him. Man United could be too much pressure, which Poch understands as Argent. Look, I'll let you lot argue amongst yourself. I don't care if we get Pochettino, Ten Hag, Rodgers. As long as we get one of them, I don't care. It's a huge improvement from where we are. And that's what we need at the moment. We need a buzz and we need it quick. But you're right, Ten Hag has got a very good structure above him, Overmars, Van der Sar and others. Like, you drop him into United, you've got nothing above you. You know, if it rains, you're getting wet, and it does rain in Manchester. So it's a very difficult job. It's a very difficult job. But that doesn't mean that Ten Hag wouldn't be able to do it. I really don't care which one we get. I'm not bothered. But what you can definitely take this morning is that Pochettino wants the job. That's not paper talk. Pochettino wants the job. His agent or people around him have leaked that to proper people. When Simon Stone, who is effectively, in the nicest possible way, a tap-in journalist, and what that means is very credible, doesn't get involved in speculation, he will come in and go, Solskjaer's sacked because Solskjaer is about to be sacked. He will come in and say Ronaldo's signing for United because Ronaldo is signing for United. If he comes out and says Pochettino wants the Manchester United job and he wants it now, that's because that's come from somebody very, very good. Pochettino wants the Manchester United job and he wants it now. The kicker is United haven't approached him. This is Pochettino putting it out there that he wants the job. Now it's over to United. But I like that sort of a story. I love it. Because whether you want Pochettino, Ten Hag or whoever, that's a great story because it kills United and their, propaganda or whatever you want to call it, that they can't get anybody now so they need an interim. Fans are frustrated because we want to do what Villa did. We want to do what Chelsea did last year. We want to sack the manager and get a new manager in and start the journey today. United said yesterday, we're sacking the manager, then we've got Carrick, then we've got an interim, then we'll get a new manager. 4 managers in 6 months, basically. That's what United are proposing. But this morning, Pochettino's saying, I'll take the job and I want it now. This is a man that United desperately wanted 2 years ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. So, manager that United wanted wants Man United job today. That's a great story because if United refuse to go for Pochettino and get an interim in and anything else like that, then the pressure's back where it needs to be. It's back on the club for their incompetence, and we know they're incompetent. So whether I want Pochettino or not, I'm very grateful that he's put it out there that he wants the job because it just puts the pressure back on United again. Oh, what are you going to do? Leak today? Oh, it's difficult. We need more time. You don't need more time. There's a manager right there. He wants the job. What are you waiting for? And it just puts pressure where the pressure needs to be. It puts the blame where the blame needs to be on the board. Hi, Mark. Any words about Ollie's post-sack interview, says Zach. Thanks for that, Zach. That's always going to be good. I'm not even thinking about Poch coming to the club, but more his coaching team plus his desire to come in. We must go all out to get now, says Paul. Another one, but do you think that interim manager plan is just expectation manager so that we will accept anyone permanent? Classic spin. I don't think we'll end up with an interim, Andrew, or anybody. I don't think we will. For me, the obvious plan is you take the week, you give Carrick tomorrow, Carrick Chelsea, You get the new manager in by the weekend, but say they won't be in charge for Chelsea. We've seen this many times. And then from the Monday, the new manager takes charge. His first game is Old Trafford, Arsenal, bounce, win, we go, we move into easier fixtures. That's how I would do it if I was Manchester United. Simon Stone also said Steve Bruce wants the job this morning. I wouldn't take everything he says as gospel. Hope Poch is true though. Yeah, but Aaron, Steve Bruce does want the job. I want the job. You want the job. Like, Steve Bruce does want the job. Pochettino wants the job. It's people coming out saying they want the job. Doesn't mean we want them. Hi Mark, love your bracelet. Where did you get it from? Also, one thing, Poch has something over Ten Hag as his premier. So this bracelet was self-made. That is a black sort of magnet thing you can get off Amazon, and then I took the cross off an old bracelet and put it on. So it's self-made. I haven't forgotten the question I was asked. One thing, Poch has something over Ten Hag is Premier League experience, which United will like. And remember what I've said before. Look, I'm more than happy to get Ten Hag, but remember what I said before, and many of you agreed with me. When do United go for coaches that are up and coming? When do United go for the next big thing? Like, that is the sort of thing that maybe a Liverpool does, maybe a Chelsea does. It's not a thing that Manchester United do. Man United go for... I mean, to be honest with you, if United go in a fruit bowl, they don't go for the banana that's going to be ripened tomorrow, or the avocado that will be ready by the end of the week. They go for the banana and avocado that's, gone a bit soft. It's on the turn. That's what they did with Van Gaal. That's what they did with Mourinho. They don't go for the next up and coming thing. So I think that might be why they don't go for it. On Ollie's interview, look, this is a very good point, and I'm glad that it's been answered, sort of halfway through the show, because I do want to have my say on this. So look, I saw a lot of people last night. I put a tweet out saying, who thought it was a good idea to get a man crying about losing his job? Half agreed with me, half abusively disagreed with me. I've been called all sorts of names. I'm not bothered. This happens. But you know what? I still stand by it. I'm not changing my opinion. You can call me all the names you want to call me. I still think that Ollie crying on camera was a bad idea. And I think it was done so that the club could use it to, deflect the blame. I think Ollie wanted to do it. I agree with Ollie wanting. I know Ollie wanted to do it. Okay, got no criticism with Ollie, but I think the club shouldn't have let it happen. And the reason I think they had let it happen is, if you look, correct me if I'm wrong. Check Manchester United's Twitter account at Manchester United and tell me how many tweets there are about Ollie crying. Bye bye Ollie, legend of the club. The United, the club is on the club standards are on the floor. That should be the line for me. The standards are on the floor at the football club, right? We're in a mess. We've taken 4 points from 21. We're 8th in the league. The club is a shambles, and they've spent a day doing a tribute. Like, I didn't need a tribute to Ollie. Like, people are saying, oh, you're being insensitive. I tell you what, hypocrite alert. Check your timelines. Check your own Twitter accounts. Get him out of our club. He's absolutely useless. Yesterday, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. Like, I'm not a hypocrite. Some people aren't a hypocrite. People are crying and, oh, it's so sad Ollie's gone. On Saturday, they were like, get this idiot out of our club. It's hypocritical. You're being played by sentimentality, in my opinion. And it's only opinion. I'm not falling out with people. You can go one way, you can go the other. But riddle me this. Why are Manchester United happy for the fan base to get all sentimental? Because sentimentality deflects you from frustration and anger at how the club is being run. The club are using that yesterday, 100%. Now, people will say Ollie wanted to do it. Do you think Mourinho wanted to do it? Why didn't Frank Lampard do it for Chelsea? And that's why for me it was staged. Because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said to Manchester United, I want to do an exit interview, do you think United said, there's the camera, there's the microphone, we'll leave you to it and we'll post it up? Bullshit! They've said, what are you going to say? Because if you're going to say, the club's run by idiots and that's held me back, if you're going to say, the Super League was the low point and we never really recovered and that's on the owners, I wanted a centre midfielder in the summer and they got me Sancho. If you're going to say anything like that, you can forget about it. No, I'm just going to say how much I love the club and how I've been backed. Fine, that's great. And that's my point. Why wasn't Jose Mourinho given an exit interview? Because he would have slagged the club off. Same with Van Gaal. Ollie was allowed to do it because it was about, thank you, Ollie, you're a legend of the club, he's nice about the club, everybody's nice about the club, I've met a load of friends. The club allowed it to happen because they knew they could use it in a positive way. If he'd have said anything negative, and let's be honest, why would he not say anything negative? But he didn't. I think it was staged. Not from Ollie. I think the club allowed it because it was staged. Why didn't Mourinho get one? And if you think it's, well, Mourinho wasn't a club legend, why didn't Lampard get one at Chelsea? Because he wasn't happy, he was sacked. And he wasn't allowed to say what he wanted to say. And for anybody who's saying, well, you're being harsh and sentimental, I'm glad I didn't start tweeting yesterday about, it's really sad that he's sacked, like some people did, because I think the best tribute to Ollie was what was on my Instagram yesterday morning, hours before he did an interview. Check out @GoldbridgeMark on Instagram and see what it says. Ollie's always a legend to me as a player, and that will never change no matter what result. And I also said, why is Solskjaer been thrown to the wolves by this club, and yet Carrick, McKenna, Phelan, Woodward are still here? I think that's more of a tribute than sitting him in front of a camera where he cries about losing his job because he's gutted. I think it's more of a tribute to say, why is he the one sat crying on his own? Why is incompetence still in the football club? And on a bigger level, what worries me the most about this football club is, and Gary Neville tweeted it last week, there are people in that football club who monitor algorithms. Your emotions lead to actions by the club. Now, the club will have seen yesterday the amazing positive outpouring of, grief and sentimentality at Ollie's interview yesterday. They'll see that, and there's a guy there, the one with the American accent, who does all the social media. He will see that reaction and go, bing, that works. When we're in a bad situation, I mean, look, you know what? I can't do an American accent. He will go, Ollie has taken 4 points from 21. The club is in a mess. We've just been beaten 4-1 by Watford, and 24 hours later, we've got the fan base in the palm of our hands because of some sentimental stuff. This is what we do in the future. When people are having a go at Harry Maguire, get him in for an interview. Get him to talk about his dog when he was a kid. When people are having a go at Bruno, get him in. Get him in. Get him chopping some onions and crying. And that's what worries me. I ain't got a problem with Ollie doing the interview. It's up to him what he does. But the way the club will use it to get you thinking about sad things instead of what's going on at the club, they'll use it. United, that's what United are. That's what Gary Neville was on about last week. They've got people in that club that monitor algorithms and will go, how do we turn a frustrated fan base and put them back in the palm of our hands? I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Maguire's doing an interview anytime soon about, how hard it is, this, that and the other, maybe a few tears. And that's what worries me. While some clubs are out there winning, our club's trying to spin our fan base on sentiments. And you know what? That's why I want a reset. I want the reset button, and I want a manager coming in that's not accessible. He's got no Manchester United appearances on his Wikipedia page. I want his Wikipedia page to be good coach, structure, development, wants to win. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want a reset of the football club. I want to be like Chelsea. I want to be like Man City. I want to be like Liverpool. And people say, I can't believe you want to be like Man City. I saw Man City yesterday. They're bringing on young players I don't even know the name of, and they're like mini Bernardo Silvas, mini David Silvas, mini Phil Fodens. The structure at Man City, the development at Man City, the money at Man City, the ownership, the managers, the players, the youth, the coaching. Man City are miles ahead of Manchester United. It absolutely destroys me to say that, but from top to bottom, they tick every box. When Sheikh Mansour took over Man City, they looked at United and went, I don't want to just beat them. I want to beat them everywhere. I want a better structure. I want better football. I want better youth. I want to win more trophies. I want a longer term strategy. They've kicked our arse everywhere. And what are we doing? We're talking about, how sad it is to sack a manager that's not actually done a very good job. And if you need Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to sit down and cry for you to realise he's a club legend, I'm sorry, you don't know your history. I tell you, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gave me and many other fans one of the best nights of our life. As a footballer, he will always be a legend, no matter what happened as a manager. If you need him to cry to you, which was genuine because he was gutted, and he would be gutted because he's a fan of the club. If you need that to remind you, well, that's your problem. I didn't need that. Many fans didn't need that because I already know what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is as a Manchester United legend. But I tell you what, this morning, he's nothing. He's just back as a Man United player. I don't even want to talk about Ole anymore. He's gone. I don't want to be talking about Carrick and McKenna and Phelan. They need to go as well. The club needs to kick into action and get some focus back, because at the moment all we are is sentiment and history, and we need to be a future, and that reset button needs to be here. Reports of Woodward may be signing another contract to oversee this turbulent period that Pratt should have been gone with Ollie best in class appointments. You know what though, said Watson in relation to I mean, Stoney's saying that Bruce is open to the interim role. Ed Woodward again is a product of the Glazers. Like, in fairness to Ed Woodward, even if Ed Woodward went, the Glazers are still there. Let's talk about what I said about Ollie at the start of last season and 2 years ago. I said I want the Glazers gone before Ollie, and unfortunately another manager has gone before they've gone, and the next manager will be gone before they've gone. The Glazers need taken out of that football club, because if you take the Glazers out, Woodward's gone. No way in a million years would Roman Abramovich or like Chelsea took Peter Kenyon, our CEO, 20 years ago, or however many years ago it was. Probably 15, 16 years ago, to be fair. Peter Kenyon was our CEO, and or he was something at the club anyway. Chelsea took him because he was good at his job. Nobody's going to headhunt Ed Woodward because he's not good at what he does. He's there because the Glazers like him. And this is the problem at United. Like Ollie, no other Premier League club is going to take Ollie. Dean Smith gets sacked by Villa. Norwich want him. Nobody's going to take Ollie in the Premier League, right? No one's going to take Ed Woodward. What's the problem with that? It's the Glazers. If you got good owners, Ed Woodward wouldn't be in a job. Ollie wouldn't have been in a job. We need proper owners at the football club. So as much as Woodward's bad, we need proper owners at the football club. Please do a Carrick impression, but to be honest, the board would look at their finance reports and think this is a successful year. Too much work for them, says Nigel. Well, this is true. This is why Ed Woodward will get a new contract, because Manchester United's owners will be looking at the balance sheets and saying, we've made shitloads of money this year. Why would we sack our CEO? They look at the balance sheet first before they look at the Premier League. Ranieri's interview on YouTube's a class. The way he talks about football philosophy is exactly what we need at United. Thing is, I know it's the type of personality Woodward and the Glazers don't want, says Atex. Yes, I agree with you on that one. But, you know, there's not been a lot to be positive about over the last few weeks. And I agree with those people. I said it myself last night. We might have more levels to go down. Like, we may well have more levels to go down. This is a very difficult week. Villarreal, I think, is an easier game than Chelsea, and Chelsea's very difficult. So, and then Arsenal after that. So things can definitely get worse before they get better. And as Kev said last night, players going into training this morning, what's different? If anything, it'll be sad for them because it's the same coaches without Ollie there. It's not a reset. It's not something to bounce about. It's really about, let's win tomorrow for Ollie. I think that's what tomorrow's about. When you get a new manager in, like when Mourinho got sacked, Ollie came in and it was like, the bad times are over. I'm here. I'm your mate. Let's go and do well. And we did. The players coming in today, it's like a funeral. It's like, let's win tomorrow for Ollie. It's not a reset. Like, the whole point of manager bounce is that you know, the king is dead, long live the king. Like, there's a new manager. I'm in charge now. New coaching, new ideas. Let's go. United going in today, it's like, well, Ollie's been sacked, but it's not new coaching. It's not new ideas. And they've got to change that ASAP. ASAP. They've got to change that. So I look at it this morning and I think there's more reason to be positive than negative because change is starting to happen. But what we need to keep on about is the owners and Woodward to make the decisions quick. Pochettino this morning has said he wants the job. That puts amazing pressure onto Man United. It's exactly the same position that Conte was 3 weeks ago when he said he wanted the job. But Ollie was in the job. They didn't sack Ollie. Ollie's sacked now. And now you've got another top manager saying he wants the job. Pochettino wants the job. That's the headline. United either need to get him or get somebody else. But they can't go, oh, it's difficult to get someone. It's not difficult. It's spending money. Pochettino wants the job. If I'm Manchester United this morning, Pochettino wants the job. How do I get Pochettino? You've got to pay PSG. How much do you want PSG? 10 million. I don't want to spend that. Well, that's you then. That's United not spending money. He wants the job. They want 10 million. Spend the 10 million, you've got your manager. It's as simple as that. The board are going to leave themselves exposed. Can Rashford and Greenwood play in the same starting lineup for a Champions League team? Tyler, I think team selections, can he play, will he play? It's irrelevant until we get the new manager in. And I understand, but I'm not at that point yet. Will Van der Beek start? Will Maguire be captain? Well, no, Maguire should never be captain again, but who knows what the next manager will do. Until we get a new manager, I don't know. Harry Maguire will be captain tomorrow because Michael Carrick won't want to make a big decision. Like, that will happen. Bruno will probably be captain against Chelsea because Harry Maguire is suspended. Arsenal, if we've got a new manager, who knows? But remember, everybody gets a clean slate under a new manager as well. But Greenwood and Rashford will be better under a better manager because they'll get coached better. Man United shares are as low as they have been in a while, expecting a huge announcement soon for the Glazers, says Joe. Yeah, look, I would be very surprised if we end up with an interim manager. If we get an interim manager, share price, interest is going to sink. There's one thing, and I said this with Ollie towards the end, if you're a Norwich manager, if you're a Norwich fan, you've got a new manager, you've got hope that you might stay up. If you're a Villa fan, you've got a new manager, you've got hope that you can get into the top 6. If you're a Spurs fan, you've got a new manager, you're now thinking about top 4. And the previous managers, they were like, this is dead, right? That's why the club changed it. Under Solskjaer, we were like, what are we now? At the start of the season, he said we're meant to be in a title race. Now, we're probably not even in a top 4 race. Solskjaer gets sacked. Has that changed? No, we don't know what we are. We're still probably in a top 4 race, but not much else. You bring a new manager in tomorrow or by the end of the week, Pochettino, whatever, we're going to get top 4. We might do well in the Champions League. We've still got the FA Cup. We've got loads of things to look forward to and next season. The change in the club and the interest in the club and the buzz around the club changes overnight. And that is why I don't believe the club will be stupid enough to try and stick with Carrick or get a crappy interim. I think they'll go for a full-time coach because a full-time coach is a boost. And I think when they brought Mourinho in, it's the highest share price Manchester United have ever had. Well, you bring a new manager in with Ronaldo and everything, you're going to get a really, really big thing. Zidane, somebody just said about Fabrizio and Zidane. Zidane doesn't want the job. I don't need to see what Fabrizio has said. Zidane does not want the job. That's the official line. It always has been. And I mean, it doesn't mean he won't get the job. I mean, I'll say this morning. If you want Ten Hag, if you want Poch, if you want Rodgers, if you want Zidane, I would just say get one of them. I'm not actually that bothered which. I have favourites, but if we get one of them by the end of the week, I'll be happy because I see the positives in all 4, to be honest. My issue with Zidane is he's always been my number 1, but if he doesn't want the job, that's a big, big red flag. It's like I say, it's like these rich billionaires who are 90 who marry these supermodels who are 20. They're not marrying you because of your great good looks and physique. Like, they're marrying you because of your wallet. And it feels to me that if we're going to get Zidane, we're paying him to do it because he's clearly said no a couple of times. And he's free, isn't he? Thoughts on Woodward coming out and saying he's going to delay leaving the club again. Tyler, Woodward is the worst CEO we've ever had. Look, I can keep going around the circles here. Pochettino wants the Man United job. You can take that as fact. Zidane doesn't want the Manchester United job. You can take that as fact. If Manchester United approach PSG and say we want Poch, and Zidane wants to go to PSG, everybody's happy, aren't they? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, okay. Enough is enough. Carrick will do an Ole, interim to permanent manager, cheap deals. Mate, I you know me, I mean, we get called the negative stand, which is a load of nonsense because actually when you watch what happens. If we bring Pochettino in or Zidane or Ten Hag, you watch what happens to this channel. Like, positivity is when the views go up. It's always been the way, but people think it's negative. That's another club. That's not United. Positivity's always been done and I've been doing this for 6 years. I know what the viewership's like when things are going well. So, you know, I want to be happy again. I want things to be good. But, you know, in relation to what I was going to say there is about, you know, how this goes and, you know, what happens for Manchester United next. If we get that manager in, then we can start to build the future again. And at the moment, it's slightly better because we've removed the manager, but we're in this period of like what's going to happen next, and I think the players will be like that. The fans are certainly like that, and I think that. But there are managers there who want the job, and we're just in the hands of the board again, I'm afraid. And the thing for me, somebody said this to me the other day, is that we'll get a new manager and all this Glazers out movement will just disappear very, very quickly. And I'm like, well, the Glazers out movement's been like a roller coaster for 16 years. They've got such a power hold over this club. It's very, very difficult to get them out. The only thing that nearly got them out was the protests in the summer, and that was because you had a united fan base. We haven't got that, so I don't see them going anywhere any side soon. But you know, the fact that Ed Woodward's deciding to stay, to me, is just it's just crazy, really. Really is. But yeah. I'm just reading some of your chats. And as for Ed Woodward delaying his departure, it was meant to go in the summer anyway. He's already delayed it. Yeah, Carrick's doing his press conference at 1. We'll be live at 1:30 for that. And we'll see what happens. Make sure you smash a like on the video. You think Nuno can be interim manager? No, Jaden. Yeah. I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think the club will get a proper manager in. I think they have to. Do you think we will get a manager? Yes, Alex, I do. I think we will, and I think we have to. But yeah, going back to Michael Carrick, as I said, that's what I was going to say. People talk about negativity in the fan base. Well, I'll give you a big positive here, and sometimes we are positive. There ain't no way Michael Carrick's being the next manager of Manchester United. Absolutely not. It won't be allowed to happen. The club will not be allowed. There will be riots and protests if they give Carrick the job, even if he won the next 10. Because what you've got to look back at Ollie's first 10 games. He basically won them all, and we played good football, and he gave him a new contract. No idiot is going to give Carrick the job this time. It doesn't matter, because what is true, and I always used to say this about Ollie. There is no interim manager that's ever been a success. Like, they're not. It just doesn't work. There is no interim manager that's ever been a success. I think Di Matteo was interim at Chelsea, won the Champions League. They sacked him very, very quickly. So you could say that's a success, but they're never a long-term success. They're an interim for a reason. And Carrick will not... I don't think Carrick will even be the interim manager in a week, let alone by the end of the season. He will never get the contract. The media won't be stupid enough to push it. The fan base won't be stupid enough to push it. No ex-player's going to start writing out imaginary contracts and stupid enough to push it, which leaves you just Ed Woodward to make a decision on his own, which he won't do without running it through the algorithm. So Carrick will never get the job. I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't even bother your brain about it. It won't happen. And we don't want any more I don't want any more ex-players anything to do with this. I mean, why? You know, Steve Bruce wanting the job, that's hilarious. His CV is crap. Like, the only reason it's like Alan Pardew saying he wants the job. Like, Alan Pardew's as qualified as Steve Bruce. Why does Steve Bruce want the job? Because on his Wikipedia page, it says, I played for Manchester United. Forget about it, Steve. Forget about it. Go on a walk. It's a lovely country day. You know, Man United appearances on your Wikipedia, forget about it. Not interested. It doesn't mean anything. We've just tried that for 3 years. It doesn't make a difference. So jog on. You know, if you're getting a manager in, go for quality and specialism. Just watched your new career mode video. Felt like I should be paying for that level of entertainment. Sorry, a bit off topic, says Jakub. It's a very good career mode video. I'm really enjoying that, and hopefully I'll get to play a bit this afternoon. But you know, we'll see what happens with Manchester United. But you know what? I've really enjoyed the show this morning. We've done an hour. I'm back in a couple of hours with Carrick's press conference. And what I just want to say at the end is, I always say this. We dream the same dream. We want the same thing. It's a Belinda Carlisle song, but it is true. There's a lot of people falling out, right? And as I said, I'm not changing my opinion on Ollie's interview yesterday. I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'd already said about him in the morning. I don't agree with a man crying on video because he's lost a job, and I think Manchester United have used it to their benefit. And I think we might see this more and more. As I said, watch out. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something sentimental with Harry Maguire very soon, because they've seen now that you can flip a fan base by doing it. But answer me this. Like, at the end of the day, Manchester United staged that with Solskjaer. And people can tell me what they like, but lots of people agree with me on this one. That was staged. Was Solskjaer allowed to sit there and say what he wanted to say, or was it edited? And was it about you can only say positive things? Would they have let Solskjaer do that interview if he'd have cried and said, you know what, I'm gutted because I really wanted a CDM in the summer and they didn't get me one, and I think if we'd got one we might have had a chance? There's no way that would be in there, but it's probably true. If he'd have said, look, you know what, since the Super League stuff it's been very hard to recover as a football club because there's been a lot of uncertainty, wouldn't be allowed to say that because it's against the Glazers. Like, the reason the club were happy for Solskjaer to do the interview he wanted to do is because it was saying the stuff they wanted him to say. They didn't do it for Mourinho, they didn't do it for Van Gaal. All right, they're not club legends, but that was staged from the club because they knew Ollie was going to say positive things. And that, to me, is why I wasn't comfortable with it, because I just think it was about positivity, which obviously was about Ollie getting the send-off he needed, but it was also about the club benefiting from it. And that's why it didn't sit right for me. And anybody who has a problem with that, that's fine. You don't need to start being abusive and threatening people because someone's got a different opinion. I and many other people know what Solskjaer is. He's a legend of the club because of the footballer he is. And I'd already put that out in the morning. I just wasn't comfortable with that interview because if you check the Man United Twitter account, for the last 6, 7, 8 tweets, it's all about goodbye legends, this, that and the other. And they're using it because the algorithm says it's a good thing to do. Ollie's gone. Move on. Get a new manager in, and can we please focus not on sentimentality but on winning? Because I don't see clubs that win acting like we do. We need to act like a football club, and some fans agree with me and some people don't. But the great thing is that just shows you the passion we've got in the fan base. And I personally think Pochettino coming out this morning saying he wants the job is a great thing because it puts the pressure back where it needs to be. The only thing you need to know in your head at the moment, I think, is that the standards of this football club are on the floor. Ed Woodward's looking to stay here even longer, but there's a manager that can do this job saying he wants the job, and yet the club are going to go, it's difficult. It's not difficult. There's a manager. Go and get him. Over to you, Manchester United. The pressure's back on you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for Carrick's press conference reaction at lunchtime. Have a great day. Take care. I'll speak to you all in a bit.